The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happening.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendenhall and he said he could make it.
Don't dig this whole Phil, credit to the guy, always manages to do well what he has, but he is a shocking person. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-Viv.
No, my life from Rashad Mendenhall.
Right, you go. I'm a tag, Jack! I'm a fucking tag!
Hello and welcome to the final episode of the off-season series for the LOC report, and Chris has made every single one. How's it going, Chris?
Yes, I'm very well, thanks. Is it having a good week so far? So yeah, hopefully continuing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So this is the last one. We've come a long way. This is like 8 weeks later and we're still going. So.
Yeah. When was I think we may have started doing our first one at the end of May. So in fact, so 21st of we started on the 14th of May with the LOC quiz. Then we haven't really stopped since then in podcasting terms. Of course, we had the draft order reveal in April as well. So yes, we'll have a few weeks off after this one, and then we'll be right into it with the pre-season schedule.
Absolutely.
But before we get to all that today, we have the final nomination to talk to you about is Tom's Tyrants. I'm not going to use the term saving best to last because that would be horrendously biased and not an accurate statement necessarily. But it is a good one. It's a repeat nomination again. It is the oldest nomination we have. It's on the 2011 season. But before we do all that, Chris, what did we say we would talk to the viewers about last week?
We're going to talk to them. We're going to do the news. We're going to talk to them about the team that's now not called the Redskins.
Yes, correct. Here it is. It's the news jingle time.
The whole Liam Kumar
Day that's
effect.
the intro music. No. Here we go. Music. I'm amazed I don't do that more often, quite frankly. But before we talk about the team that plays in Washington, draft is on the 29th of August, which is pretty much only a month away.
That's it. I was going to say it's weeks away now. We're talking weeks. So we said last week. Hopefully, about the prep and everything. Hopefully, you've just started doing your prep. So you sort of know who you're going to be picking. Hopefully, you'll have sort of lined up a little bit. But the definite thing is that you'll be there on the 29th of August. That's the key thing. Mm-hmm. Because all of that is completely irrelevant if you're not there.
Sure. Very true. But you can join via a conference.
Drafted team. As you will well know if you listen to the podcast for some years, I hate an auto-drafted team and despise people who have auto-drafted teams. So that's it. It's time. It's time, everybody, to get there. Make sure you're there. That's it. Make sure that you've got no dumb excuses. That I forgot to feed my cat, or that's it. Or I've got to look after my pregnant missus. That's you, Ross. So yeah, that's it. Everybody be there because it makes it all more fun. And also we have to think about it. Then and also other things happen if you auto draft teams. Let's be honest here. There are times when you auto drafted and next on the list is a player you want, and you know full well that
always
person
happens.
would not pick that player.
Yeah.
But the auto draft does, and then you go, damn that guy.
And they always turn out being good, which is the most frustrating part of it.
Even you, Phil, from the other side of the world, you can do it from the inside of your brand new car that I've seen you get, so there's no excuse.
I didn't even know we could drive.
No, I'm glad they drive on the left there. So.
Yeah.
So yeah. Basically what I'm trying to say to you all here is, that's it. We've been banging on about it for nearly 9 weeks. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Please don't forget.
Yeah, basically that's the sum of it. And in before we get to the team that plays in Washington, in other news, of course, as you know, the aliens have landed, and I, for one, welcome our new alien overlords. And coronavirus has mutated into the zombification stage of the virus. So I look forward to the zombie Tom Brady playing for my fantasy team next year. No, we are.
He's been walking like one for about 20 years.
It's true. He hasn't aged either, so, No, just a peek behind the curtain. Chris will very much be in France by the time this episode comes out, so we are doing our best to make it seem like this is coming out in the week, but
You're not supposed to tell everybody we're doing that.
They don't
That's
know.
it.
It's okay. I had to make them think the news was current. But yes, see, they're fooled.
It is.
Yeah, they're fooled.
The thing is, we can talk about all this, and then by next week, the Redskins may have, or the team who plays in Washington, I've got to stop calling them, will probably have announced their name, and then you'll go, well, you're a bit behind on the times, aren't you? When did you record this?
I don't know what you're talking about, Chris. They're called the Washington Snyders. Yeah.
That's it. Exactly. There were many good names out there, I have to say. I saw one online, which was the Maryland Cheapskates, which was brilliant. Like, that's great. Like that wins for me. If they change their name to that, that's fantastic. But it's going to be something awful and patriotic and American, isn't it? It's going to be like,
well,
Washington read something.
I know whatever it is in a trademark dispute, because that is what's holding up the announcement. In true Snyder fashion, he couldn't just change the name from a racial slur to something that he could instantly change it to. He's trying to bully someone out of other naming rights, so he can have what he wants it to be.
Yeah, that just means it's going to be really bad, or it's already a baseball team, which in that case,
or an NBA team. Warriors has been touted, so yeah.
Oh no, there's only room for one Warriors, and the Warriors that they already exist are quite good. So
not this season, they won't.
Okay, right. Granted, not this year. But they had loads of injuries, and they were decimated.
Yeah.
You know, but if you were talking to me last year, you wouldn't be saying that. So.
Yeah. When we actually are back podcasting, we will of course give a bit more real reaction to what the Washington team is called. But there's our little discussion. It was certainly time for that name to go. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's in the way that the world is at the moment, and it's right and just. And I think anything that alludes to something like that, it needs to be looked at. And glad they have. In fact, I'm glad they haven't, because if the team that plays in Washington, as owner, had it his way, he'd probably keep it the same. But because everybody else who funds the team said they wouldn't anymore,
pretty much,
which I love. But fair play to big corporations, by the way. They tend to get a good name amongst people a lot of the time, but in this instance, they've done something that's right and just.
They've done the right thing. Questionable again if they've done it for the right reasons, because they may have been facing boycotts and whatnot by consumers. So let's not give them all the praise, but that there does have to be hard decisions made, and it change is hard in institutions like that. So for something actually to happen that's positive, it is very welcome, even if it is a bit too late. And who knows, that it might break the curse on Washington. Maybe that's what's been holding them back all these years. Who knows?
I think they need to. I think they need to pick better players and spend money in the right places. Which now they got Ron Rivera, may well happen. I think he's the right man to help. So, who also will tell Dan Snyder to do one. That doesn't like what he says. So I'm quietly optimistic that they'll turn it around there.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, so Hall of Fame nomination time. Last one. Let's get it done.
Yes.
I'm sure you're all waiting to hear it. So it is the merger by Tom's Tyrants, this nomination. The first team from the rookie division to reach and win the Corona Bowl. As I said, this is our oldest nomination this year, 2011. Not the oldest one we have in the Hall of Fame. In fact, there are two older than this in the Hall of Fame. This was a very different time in the league. At this time, there were 10 teams. In 2009, indeed, there were actually 4 of these teams were managed by 2 people. We didn't quite have enough for 10 players that year, so me and only managed 2 teams. There were only 2 divisions at that time, the Veterans and the Rookies division, and it had a promotion relegation dynamic going on. If you finished at the bottom of the Veterans division, you went down, and if you finished at the top of the Rookie division, you went up. You would have obviously one playoff team from each of the division winners, and then 2 wild cards after that. But not only that, you had 3 receivers and a wide receiver tight end flex, so a very different format to the one we have now. So very different. This didn't stop it being competitive. As we saw in last week's nomination with Viv, there were very competitive games. We all know my 2010 season where I won, it was no cakewalk. There were competitive games there as well. the first two Corona Bowls did only feature teams from the veteran division. So the division winner and the wildcard from the veteran division all reached and won the Corona Bowls, obviously, that season. Until 2011. So Coach Barnes did have a humbling start, as many do in the LOC. And what we know Tom to be now is obviously a two-time winner, very highly regarded. Doesn't always necessarily have a good year, but you would certainly, going into a season, he'd probably be around the odds-on favourite to win one, you would say. But at this time, he went 5-9 and 6-8 in his first two seasons, and was squarely a rookie division team, you would say, at that time. Much like Norwich, what we saw in the Premier League, they are clearly a championship team at the moment, and that was basically Tom's Tyrants, which is quite poetic, because I think he doesn't quite support them, but he has an affinity with them, so, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Why?
It's just, I don't know, I think Norwich are quite a likeable team, aren't they? That's kind of the gist I get. If you're if you like football, but you're one of these people who doesn't want to support a team, but these kind of people tend to have affinities with nice teams, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they don't offend anybody, apart from people from Suffolk, I suppose. Ipswich fans don't like them.
Oh, don't worry, Chris, they're all inbred, so can't hear you anyway, it's fine.
Who cares about them? Don't worry, they were all in like 1992 with no Wi-Fi, no broadband, so that's alright. They got none of that.
Yeah. So in this first season, the rookie division did tend to be easier at this time, whereas all divisions are fairly competitive and everyone's kind of on a similar skill level now. Back then wasn't necessarily the case. The rookie division, obviously, by the nature of the promotion relegation and the league still being new and following of the NFL not so great, it was typically easier, and this was made even more so in 2011, where there were some new members in Coach Nathwani, Coach Fugard, remember that, and Coach Wells. So 3 new players to go with Tom and Ollie, who came down from the Veterans Division the year before. And if we take a look at Tom's season now, because I didn't put that in the article, but it obviously is in here somewhere. Bear with me 1 second. So in 2011, Tom's Tyrants went 9-5, pretty good season. Good enough for the crown in the rookie division, and obviously securing promotion there. And if we look at the kind of guys he drafted, I certainly remember one guy he had on his team that year in Victor Cruz, who was obviously fantastic. Yeah, another throwback for you there. Chris Johnson, Tom Brady, Greg Jennings when he was good, Amar Bradshaw, Jeremy Macklin again when he was good, Jermichael Finley, if you remember him, he was a pretty dynamic Titan back in the day, and support with the roster guys, but he did also add...
He actually drafted though, you see, there we go, look down a little bit, if you keep going down there, he did draft the mighty Mike Tolbert. That's it, the cannonball himself.
Yeah, this was the time when Mike Talbot was actually sort of semi-fancy relevant too. So
that's it. I can believe that. He was Miss Captain Goal Line.
Yeah. And if we look at the end of year roster, he still has a lot of those names, but as I said, he has Victor Cruz to go in with that as well, which was certainly a large help. Guys like Pierre Thomas as well, and D'Angelo Williams really solidified the team. So he had a pretty good team in 2011, didn't he, Chris?
Yes, well, that's it. I would say so. And at the time, you look at that, there were some very, very solid, decent receivers on there. I think this particular board doesn't really do them justice, I give you. But but yes, that's it. In their day, Victor Cruz, Nate Burson, Greg Jennings, there were 3 very, very decent receivers who were good for touchdowns every week. Chris Johnson, as I know well because I drafted him several times. That's it. So he came off that unbelievable season, and didn't slow down for a few years. And this is part of one of those peak years. Tom Brady never slowed down at this point. And once you've got that winning combination, then you can really put other players in. And and take some flyers, and that's really what he did over the course of the year. There was a solid foundation there of which to build that I don't think that many other teams had that year.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the first round of the playoffs, Tom did face a playoff experienced Tuckford's team. One of the two, I think he and me may have been the only team that made playoffs each year in the first 3 years of the league, and obviously here we go on to make playoffs 5 years in a row to open the league. So not a tough draw, and this time as well, I guess the Tuckfords, while they hadn't won, they didn't have that stigma of not doing well in the playoffs at that point. And they had a fairly good week, but as you can see, not enough. Tom did overcome the Tuckfords, starting Donald Driver, another name for you from the past.
Oh, it just shows that at that point you could put literally any receiver in with Aaron Rodgers and they would be good.
That was the period we're talking about. Yeah, that's correct. And then, so with Tom Tyrants winning that game, he would become the first rookie coach or a rookie team to make a Corona Bowl. And as we know now, he did not squander that opportunity. He came up against me, the current champion at that time, and again had a very good performance. At that point, I believe that was the highest score in a Corona Bowl. And I think that would stand for at least a few years. And again, you look down, just really good game. Nate Burleson featuring as well, and Kellen Winslow, and certainly worthy of the win there.
Yeah, well, I say of the three screens that we've seen, the hallmark every single time is that Tom Brady scores 30 points or more.
That does help,
and it's very useful. But at this point, we're talking about Chris Johnson and his peak years. Well, he didn't start him in the final, which is interesting. He started DeAngelo Williams, which is...
So, only 5.6, that was a coach's decision, and it did pay off.
Yeah, very much so. And that was the year I think that DeAngelo Williams was useful. Again, went through his career purple patch in terms of fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Bradshaw again was in there. Stalwart of the team came up trumps when he had to, 2 touchdowns. If everybody in every skill position apart from Kellen Winslow has scored a touchdown, that's reasonably impressive.
He fumbled the ball. That's almost the same.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So the average is out to that. Mike Nugent, by the way, big time performance in the final.
Yep, still just about going.
Yeah, exactly that, and I mean. That is the dream position to be in when you have everything click in like that, everything that you expect, and it's a team that didn't quite steamroll the opposition the whole year, but was very effective in how it was built, and the key components to it drove it on to the win. Not by no means is it a legendary LOC team, but it is one of those that you can definitely put in the window of being something special at the time. Yeah,
not the only rookie division team to win the very next year. Touchdown Syndrome, who started off as Alex Vergod, but Jake came in halfway through and won that the title that year from the rookie division, and then I believe not long after that we did scrap it as well. So. It's obviously not something that can be done now. And just put the cherry on top for Thomas Tyrants, though, in that game was a 99-yard touchdown by Victor Cruz. You can't forget that one. And look, we all know about how good Tom is now. He's obviously won 2 Corona Bowls. He'd win another a few years after that one. Really, I guess he did blaze a path for those that follow. We've seen new players come in now, and that they are definitely, I would say, perform better than they used to back then. But I think Tom was largely a part of that shift. That was kind of the time we saw the current members of the league, like Ben, Viv, people like that. They really did start to, follow it properly and bring everyone up to the level we're at now.
Yeah, no doubt. Just to put it back into a bit of a perspective, I suppose, at the time, is that it's very challenging for someone who comes straight into the league, let's say, if you're Mike now, to win the whole thing after your 3rd year. That would be almost, I say not almost impossible, it would be very challenging to do now. Whilst then, maybe it was a little bit easier. There's a few softer opposition over the course of the year, perhaps. And again, there's no shame in doing so, but riding your quarterback throughout the year, is a strategy that's paid off for a lot of people. And it almost paid off very well for Phil last year. So, it works even now. Some of the things that we see in this team that can translate over to your picks today. I think in terms of how it was, this is again in the category of fond memory sort of thing. And it's not particularly groundbreaking for the LOC. This, yes, it came from the rookie division, but it's not like it was his first year. And I think you'd expect someone like Tom to eventually have won it. So even if it wasn't this year, it would have been another time. But he certainly had the team to be able to do that, and the draft helped, and the fact that he had a very strong top four sort of propelled him on that way. Was he the best team that year?
I think you've definitely got a bias in that. Your team was very good that year, and the regular season winner. Yeah, it
wouldn't have made a blind difference anyway, because the week that mattered was the last one, and he would have outscored me anyway. So had I got to the final, it wouldn't have made a great deal of difference. However, you have to get there to win it, and when you get to the final, when you score a massive amount of points as he did, that is something that I would be more interested in focusing on. I think that the fact that he scored 140 points in the Corona Bowl final, which lasted for a long time. I mean, a long time. It must have been what? I know I didn't outscore him. When was it broken? That's what I want. That's what I want.
You keep talking, and I'll figure out when. That's not how I'm going to figure out.
So we'll find that stat. The two divisions, one being rookie, one being veterans, probably helps you to get to that point as well. If you've got a good team in a rookie division amongst guys who know what they're doing, that's very different to now where everything's mixed in. And is it Hall of Fame worthy? This is what you want me to tell you, I suppose, viewers. Is it Hall of Fame worthy? I would say the final was Hall of Fame worthy. The team overall, for the points I've just made, really, it's soft division, decent team equals a winning combination. Yes, you have to beat people to get to the final. He snubbed by Phil, who had a good team that year, and he decimated you. But then again, you scored 91 points in the final. So yeah, and that's the next one, 161 points, which was 3 years later.
2 years later, yeah.
2 years later, okay. So yeah, where times were slightly different, and Ollie had the team, which we've covered actually in this series so far.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
So I think really you want to, if you want to, you have to decide between Tom and Ollie's teams as to who gets that particular vote in that particular category, because both of them are fond to that person. Ultimately, Tom's putting forward his first Corona Bowl win. That's what it is in more words and fluffed up a little bit. So do you want Ollie's first Corona Bowl win, or do you want Tom's first Corona Bowl win? And then you got to decide who's more impressive. And both of them have parallels. They really do. They both encounter a team that underperforms on the day, and they massively overperform in comparison to what they have. I don't know much about what Ollie's regular season was like, but it was obviously very good.
It was Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning.
He did have a lot of other good players as well. He wasn't all Peyton Manning. But...
There we go. And it's the eternal question then. In that case, we're back to Manning or Brady.
Yeah, and there you have it.
There, folks, is where your vote is.
Yeah, there you go.
Good luck trying to separate that.
Sure.
But yeah, if one season is characterised by Tom Brady's greatness and the other is Peyton Manning's greatness, then you've got to toss up, and really, the teams around them are secondary in comparison to that. So, yeah, difficult one that. difficult one. Is it Hall of Fame worthy? Obviously, you didn't think it was last year.
I believe it actually did pretty well last year as well. It went up against Niger's trifecta of 3 Corona Bowls in a row, which was practically a shoo-in, but I believe it came second to that. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, but that's like me going up against Cristiano Ronaldo in a football match. I mean, that was an unbelievable thing. I mean, you had to say Niger's last year deserved it, and just winning one by 50-point margin is all well and good, but first one or not, it doesn't stack up for me.
Yeah.
So, and also again, is it going to get beaten by other nominations that we've seen so far? And I think that it will.
I think so.
I think it will.
Yeah.
I make no doubt about it. Just to make it very clear for me, you probably seen over the last few weeks, I'm a massive fan of 3 of these that we've done so far. That over a longer period of time will either stand the test of time, be funny in the few years' time, or have something that that nothing else can beat. And those 3 are Ben's, Dave's, and Ollie Gardner's. I'm not going to tell you what order I would vote in. That's for you to decide. But those 3 are the strongest ones for me. Say, Ben over a number of years being unbelievably consistent. Dave basically starting the league, igniting a fire in you, and therefore you evangelised everybody. Which otherwise, then we wouldn't be here simply. And Ollie Gardner's just for the crack. It's hilarious. I mean, that's it. Who thinks that's a good idea? And then rolls with it and does it every week, and it works. So, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Everything else, mine included, is something that's extremely fond at the time to them, but in years to come, does everyone else really care?
Sure.
Not really.
Sure.
Not really. So yeah, that's there. I'm nailing my flag to the mast there, Nave.
Yeah, clearly. And but the voting at the time now is open. So it is the last one.
I can place my votes in whatever order I wish.
Yes, exactly. Yes, please do message them privately though. So that is it for the off-season series. So, like I say, 2 weeks for the votes. Please do get them in. I will chase you up if you haven't given them to me. Even if you didn't nominate something, you can still vote. Don't worry, it's fine. And just before we sign off, this wasn't on the last pod. As it's actually it came out after, but we can include some news that was not on the old pod. Some news you will like. Derrick Henry has signed a 4-year, $50 million deal with the Titans. There you go. Preach, everybody. That's it. The king, he's on his throne for another 4 years. So you wait, AFC South, you're going to get mowed every time. Jacksonville Jaguars are going to get mowed twice a year, every year for 4 years. That's grand. And with that, we will bid you a good few weeks while we take a break. We hope you enjoyed the off-season series, and we sure enjoyed bringing them to you. It's always nice going down memory lane. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. So until then, take it easy, listeners.